Hello people, welcome to another stream, second stream for the day, to record, not. In this stream we are going to continue the Journeys series, and which is being flown in the A2A Simulations C182T Accusim bird. We are going to fly from YHAY to YWWL online on that sim. As a VFR flight. We will be running Active Sky next. And we will also be just generally having a good time. Or as good as it gets when flying. I'll talk through how I do certain things along the way and all that fun stuff. So, here we are in the Accusim bird, cold and dark as we left it. And just, it's exactly as we left it. It's got the same amount of fuel as we left it in. It knows that it hasn't been flown for 2 days and all that fun stuff. It's got the exact amount of hours that we've flown it on its clock. It can be seen over here or down here, so 1.4 hours on the tacho. And where are we flying today? Well, we are going to be flying from YHAY out to Griffith, and then from Griffith to YWWL. So a total trip distance of about 112 nautical miles, because it's only this length. We started on Journeys Part 1 here and flew to YHAY. This will be our next step. Journeys Part 3, we might head over to Parks, or maybe even towards Bathurst, because I was thinking if we head towards Bathurst we can look at heading then to possibly the likes of Tamworth or somewhere like that up here. But we will see along the way. We may even go from Parks all the way across in one hit. Who knows? That being said, this is our flight for the day. We need to take note of a couple of things. We know that the YHAY NDB is here on 215. So for those who cannot see it, 215 is YHAY. The Griffith has a VOR, hopefully with a DME, on 114.8, and we can use it as our primary source of navigation. And YWWL has a NDB as well on 389. Again, the plates for all of these are available in the URSA. As I covered previously, you can get the URSA from any of the air services websites. It's under documentation. So what we're going to do here is we're going to tell it that we're leaving YHAY and we are flying to YWWL. YWWL, I believe. Yep. Our cruising altitude will most likely be 5,500 feet. Our cruise will be that. Our climb will be 80, our descent will be 150. And we want it to find us a routing. This will just allow us to get our weather a little bit better, and we can have a look at a brief. So looking at our brief here, expected conditions at YHAY, wind is from 033 at 03 knots with no significant weather. It's currently 27 degrees. Griffith, we're expecting no significant weather, and when we reach West Wyalong, we're expecting no significant weather with winds from 080 at 4 knots. We need the QNH reading, which is 1019. Oop, shrunk the wrong one down there. So, with that being said, let us get started. We'll connect to that sim. And there is no ATC, so we'll tell this that we want the MCP. Stick that up into a miniature control panel. And we're going to start our pre-flight. Fuel pump, we don't want the fuel pump on, we want the beacon light on, we want to put our pitot on, and we want to bring the flaps all the way down. And the pitot off. We probably should have double checked that first, but normally you do it walking to the aircraft. Warm, locked. All good. No contamination. Fuel level is where we're expecting it. Well, it's nice and clean and doesn't look contaminated. Fuel is where we're expecting it. Looks fine. Looks good. Looks fine. Store warning lever is working. Looks good. It's good. Pre-flight walk around check complete. So for the fact we forgot to turn the master off. Bad drop. And we actually don't want to turn the avionics on yet. Or actually we do, because we want to let people know we're starting. At the same time, we don't have to around here. We don't need permission to start the aircraft, so we will actually turn that off for a moment. We will close that out, open that. Bring our trim down. So we want to crack the throttle. Bring our prop control in. Turn on the fuel pump. And actually, we're not going to get anything without putting that where it should be. Turn on the fuel pump. Check. That, and now we are going to attempt to start the aircraft. Possibly could have left it primed just a little bit longer. But looks like it went fine. I will adjust the volume here. Well, we forgot to set the park brake. So much for doing our checks properly. And we're actually going to have to shut the engine down. We need to... The reason we're shutting the engine down is we need to now push ourselves back. We can't do that with the engine on. So, one nifty new thing that the A2A has is this, the tow on. So, what the tow on does is when you put the tow on and then turn off the parking brake, pushing on your joystick acts as if you've got a tow bar on the aircraft. So in the case of this, we are pushing the aircraft back using the joystick. And it's actually a feature I hope some other places decide to incorporate. Even some of the bigger jetliners could do with it rather than the pushback style that is done at the moment. It'd just make it a lot easier to do. You could get it in line, and yeah. So with that being done, let's actually get this bird started properly again. So it should still be fairly primed. There we go. Want to warm up the oil. So really don't want to do anything until the oil's warmed up. We will turn the strobe on. Definitely got positive amps. And then taxi in our nav light. We'll raise the flap. Well, didn't want to do that. Raise the flaps. So this should now be COM1, and it looks like it is. Good. There was an error in the files, which was that shipped, but made this turn up as COM2 rather than COM1. YHAY posted how to fix it on the forums, which I have done, and yep, sure enough. So now we need to finish tuning our gear. 124 is already tuned, which should, hopefully, if we go look. No, it's not YHAY. YHAY is 125. So 1, 5. And we can double check that this is the correct one. If you look on here, you'll see we've got 4 short, short, long, long, short, long, long. And what we do is we want to back this off. We don't want to run too rich while we are idling here. Finally starting to get an oil temperature reading. So you'll hear that Morse code that we just got. That is giving us the currently tuned for aid, which is correct. Griffith is on 114.8. So we actually need to click on the inner knob here, which takes us down. We want to tune 114.8. Of course, in here we want to put G, T, H, and Y, W, W, L. So this is giving us our flight plan. We don't need this, but if you've got a GPS in, and we've got the GPS because who knows, I may decide to fly this series all the way to America or something, we'll need the GPS for flights over water and the like. Now, we will tune COM2 to active sky for a second here. So 122.0 I believe is active sky, or it's either 122.0 or 120.
Yankee Hotel Alpha Yankee Airport Information Echo 0015 Zulu weather wind 022 at 3 visibility 10 sky clear temperature 27 dew point 12 QNH 1018 advise on initial contact you have information Echo Yankee Hotel Alpha.
Okay, so 1018, which we have inputted there. Winds are 022, so they're from the north. And if we look at West Wyllon here, we have 2 runways, but the paved one, which we will take off at, goes generally north, so we can use it. West Wyllon traffic, Victor Hotel, Romeo Papa Golf, VFR Cessna 182, taxiing for the active this time. When we get there, we will do our run-up. Seems there is no run-up bay available to us here. We'll do our run-up here. So, we want to go full reach, 1800 RPM. Good mag check. And a good prop check. Westbound traffic, Romeo Papa Golf, entering and backtracking runway 22. Westbound traffic, Romeo Papa Golf, lining up, departing runway 04 to the east. We've got plenty of runway, so we're actually not going to do a flaps takeoff. We are going to squawk Sierra? That just shows you that, yeah, you can actually do a flaps up takeoff in this bird. Ideally, don't, but I wanted to see how well it was done. And good old spam. I'd forgotten that I had my email open. We're actually going to close that for the moment. Or not. We'll just tell it not to show any new alerts. Unicom traffic. Victor Hotel Romeo Poppy Golf is a VFR Cessna 182. Departed YHAY time 44 on climb through 2,300 for 5,500. Tracking Griffith, then West Wyalong. Unicom traffic. Okay, so we're going to trim this for about 80 knots. We may have gone a little bit too far there. And we need to come a little bit right. So, okay, we're generally flying over what is known to people in the region as the YHAY Plains. Anybody who's driven this route knows just how mind-numbingly boring driving it is. You basically end up on the road down here, driving towards Sydney or the like, and it is, which is the highway, and it is boring. You could be forgiven, almost, for falling asleep, but I said almost. It's one of those drives when you're driving it that you really have to try and keep yourself awake over and the like. Okay, 5,500. Let's bring ourselves back on the manifold pressure. We need some nose up trim here. Nose down trim, I should say. Oh, need to go down either that or we need to decide we're going up to 7.5, but 5.5 was where I said I was planning on being, and that is where we're going. I'm going to bring the prop back to about there. One of the big things, of course, is that we've got the details for various cruisers and the like. Such as that one there, which gives you cruise settings for 23-inch manifold pressure. No fun. Sorry about that. I had a drink try and kill me. I have some wicked thermals at the moment. which would make doing some gliding quite interesting. So one thing we are going to have a look at, actually, before we get too much further, let's make certain that we're in full power mode. We're going to actually stall the aircraft. You do a lot of stalls and even spins and the like in real life training. Spins, separate spins and the like, because you have to learn to get yourself out of one in case you actually get into one. Stalls because, well, you basically have to know to put the nose down, increase your power, and gently pull out of it. The stalls on this appear to be really nice, and match what everything I've read for the real bird does, and what my friends who have actually flown it says it does. Though in their comments they wish it was a 206 rather than a 109, than a 182, and they actually commented on something that I've not. As I was saying, as one of my friends turned around and said, this is one of the first aircraft that either of us have flown that you will notice the prop is modelled properly sound-wise on. And I must put my hat off to YHAY for it. You will notice, basically, if I set the prop down here, generally the prop will remain, the sound will move based on the RPM, not on where my engine is, at least the prop sound. You can hear a subtle change in the engine, but the noise of the prop will stay constant to whatever the RPM is. In most flight sim planes with a constant speed prop, doing this based on my throttle is where my sound will come from, not where the RPMs of the prop are. And in a real plane, the sound you're hearing from the front, the majority of it, is coming from this bloody big fan slash pushing object in front of you called a propeller. So if it's moving at 2400 RPM, it's going to sound the same no matter how much torque you're throwing into it. And A2A are one of the first that I've seen to model this properly. Okay, so we did stalls. Now we're going to do a spin. Now, you're not meant to purposely put an aircraft into a spin, but you do it as part of training. And you want some height. So, okay, we're going to enter the stall, and as we enter the stall, we're going to put the boot the full rudder in. So we are in the spin. First we neutralise the controls, then we put counter spin rudder in, and ease out. It's easier, it's a lot easier to do in the simulator than in the real thing. And I mean, like I said, I've only gone on a couple of flights in my life, but even I know that when this happens, that you're being thrown around that cockpit a little bit. We'll do another one. So let's get the separate spin happening. Okay, but you'll notice we're getting anywhere from, at the start of that spin we were getting up to 2 G's, and coming out we've got 2 G's on there. That's not a lot, but it's still twice your weight on your body at the same time as your sensors are sitting there going, well, which way's up, which way's down, I'm going to hurl, and you start realising why people die from spins. This plane spins beautifully. Hats off again to YHAY there. We're back up at our cruise. Might as well get ourselves back into our cruise properly here. Some people will ask why I'm not doing a lot of leaning off this. I'm basically leaning by ear. YHAY, as I said on Journeys 1, does it that well that you can. And anybody wanting this paint, I've got a few tweaks that I need to do on it, and then I will post it up on the A2A website as well as my personal website, or at least I'll post it on my personal website, and of course links to it on the A2A website. You're really dropping frames today for some reason. I wonder why. So we're flying in and out of some thermals here, that's why one moment I will be doing 140 knots and trimmed, having to put some nose down trim in to maintain it. The next minute I will be doing only 120 and having to reclimb back up to my proper cruising altitude. And okay, one thing I touched on briefly last time when I was alt-tabbing, but I haven't really got into. Obviously, these birds are equipped with an autopilot. It is a Bandex King autopilot. Get this bird trimmed out properly. So this is the autopilot. Right here. It has a couple of modes we can do. We can turn the autopilot on, we can altitude arm it, so at 5,500, and we can tell it we want it to climb. At the moment it's in roll hold mode, so it'll hold the last roll we put it on. We've got a couple of other modes we can put it in. We can put it in heading hold mode, so in this case it will chase our heading bug here. We can put it in nav mode, which will have it on the nav hold. So what it's going to do is we basically need to steer it onto the nav and then it will take over. So at the moment it's still following generally the heading hold. But what should happen is when we get close to this heading, we'll bring the actual thing over. So, okay, when we hit, as you'll notice, as we got closer, it switched over to nav, so now it's going to do its best to hold nav, and we've got two modes. Again here, we can couple the navigation to our GPS unit, or we can couple it to our navigation source, which of course is what we're on at the moment, which is our VLR. We have approach hold and back course, which allows us to backtrack on an approach hold, so we can tune in an ILS and basically do an ILS approach using the autopilot. Of course it's not an Autoland version, and in a Cessna you would not expect it to be, but yeah. And the reverse just lets you use a back course ILS. Some ILSs you can punch in and say that you want to from the other side of the ILS, basically. Alt is obviously altitude hold. Baro allows us to check our barometric pressure. So it's giving it to us in down here in HPA, whereas over here we're using it in QNH. Both can be used. Our radio, our Bendix King transponder, the KT, I think this is a 28 or 76, sorry, C transponder, is a full mode 3 transponder. It has the ability to ident, transpond all the normal stuff, and also be in standby or alt or on mode. So in alternate we can see what it is actually transponding to ATC. It's showing our flight level at 054. We're actually, because we're just slightly below 55, and it's also giving the transponder our ADF, we have the option to ADF. I actually haven't gotten a lot into the ADF radio. We can go into this later. I'll actually pull out the Bendix King 87 manual and have a look at this. And our standard radio stack, we actually need to come to 060. We're already on the 060 radial, so we'll come 1 degree. So you'll notice we lost out for a moment. Then the autopilot was, well, what am I doing? We overflew the VOR, so for a moment there we lost the VOR signal, and that's what's just happening here. Basically, we're on top of the VOR. It's sitting there going, I'm a little confused. So we switch to heading hold. We can switch it back to navigation hold here. And if we switch quickly over to Sky Vector, we'll notice that we need to fly out on the 064 radial from, no, that was from YHAY. Once we jump over to on the 061 radial, and we need to do it for 59 nautical miles. So we want 061. For 61 miles. At the moment we're 1.9, 2 nautical miles away. And we'll go into this in a minute. We'll have a look at everything on the Gammon stack in a moment. So we're re-established on our navigational hold. And we hit another thermal. Okay, the Bendix King 155 Alpha communication navigation radio stack. This one is tuned to our communication 2 radio and our navigation 2 radio. Basically we have 2 communication radios and 2 navigation radios, and we'll have, and this bird, technically you've got a third spare. A lot of outback stations also tend to run, at least out here, ATIS weather off the ADF, but Flight Sim doesn't exactly mimic that. But we're digressing. On this we can tune basically our communication 1 radio by, we always tune standby. It's very rare that you actually tune the active. You can tune the large number or the megahertz frequency using the outer knob. Anti-clockwise will lower it, clockwise will increase it. And you can tune the LNR knob by, if when it's pushed in you're tuning it by 0.5, you pull it out you're tuning it by 0.25, and in either case again clockwise increase, counterclockwise decrease. You can also enter channel mode. By pressing and holding you're entering program mode, and what this allows you to do is you can actually program a set of channels. So say for example, I know I use 1220 quite often. I can tune it into channel 1, into channel 2. I can tune 12210 into channel 3. 12220, etc, etc, etc. And what this allows you to do is basically rapidly select channels. So I want channel 2, bang. Same with this. You can enter flag mode or observation mode to from, estimated time of arrival, or elapsed time actually I should say. Other than that, same deal, out of frequency, inner frequency, small and large. And you can get an ident off of frequency as well. This little beauty is, well, really a video in and of itself, so we will cover it more probably on the next trip. But needless to state, we have our COM1 and our NAV1 radios just here, exactly the same as down here. We also have the ability to do a lot of GPS stuff, far more than with the Reality XP than what you will get with the default flight sim. I mean, if the actual fact that we can actually even just program it does not show you that. But I mean, we can actually go into things like the map. We can change the type it is. We can change it so that it follows our direction and the like, even on this map. Change the zoom data, the wind vector, all that fun stuff. We have all these modes, which some of these will be familiar, you'll recognise them from the normal bot, but you'll notice if I go to waypoint I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages compared to flight sims. I have fuel planning, trip planning, density scheduler, checklist, flight timers, trip statistics, etc, etc, etc for all of this. In the auxiliary, I have a full proper nearest list. Including the nearest flight service centre, so 134.65 would be Melbourne Centre at the moment. And I'm not near any airspace. The other big one, you will notice we have a button on here that doesn't exist in Flight Sim Adul's version of this radio, which is the Gammon 560, I believe, or 570. Vertical navigation. So, okay. Say I want to be at 1,000 feet, 1 nautical mile before we get to Whiskey Mike Lima Lima. I want to descend at 5,000 feet per minute. This will actually tell me at the moment, so we don't need to descend at all. When we get to where it is, this will let me know. We should be able to actually had it there. 1,000 feet above the waypoints. So what this should do is tell me. It'll bring up a message letting me know when I need to start my descent. We're burning fuel a little bit more from the right than the left at the moment, but we're within 1 gallon of each other. If this gets too far out of whack, then I'll actually switch it over, tell it to pull from one tank rather than the other. Our cylinder heads are fine. We probably could have gone to about half flaps. Oil temperature is nice, oil pressure is good, our vacuum's good, our amps are good. Manifold pressure is sitting pretty at 20, and our fuel flow is sitting at 9. Now we could increase this a little bit. We could aim for 23, which will give us a slightly faster true airspeed. Of course, at the cost of more fuel. So 2.3 hours on the engine now. We do want to actually grab the
Yankee Whiskey Lima Airport information Kilo 0105 Zulu weather wind 069er at 4, visibility 10, sky clear, temperature 26, dew point 12, QNH 1018, advise on initial contact, you have information, Kilo, Yankee, Whiskey.
Okay, so we know that. Let's have a quick look here. We can actually go and have a look at the West Wyalong. We can actually go have a look at West Wyalong. So Yankee, Whiskey. Whiskey, Lima. Gotta hate it when you mess up. Whiskey. Whiskey. Lima, enter. So we want West Wyalong, that's correct. We can have a look here. We can see that West Wyalong we have 25 and '09. We'll be using '09. Hard service has pilot controlled lighting on 222.3. Multicom if we were using it rather than Unicom on 126.7. It does actually have a procedure by the looks of it. Let's have a look. We can do an RNAV on 09. We might use WWD, so we want to go back one. WWD is actually what we were on. We can load that. And what we can do is we can actually activate that approach. We're not that far out. If we have a look at our VNAV, we're still not quite there yet. So what we're going to do here is switch back over to our GPS. So the GPS is now in control of the aircraft. Unicom traffic, Victor Hotel Romeo Papa Golf, Cessna 182, 20 nautical miles west of West Wyalong, inbound RNAV approach, runway 09 at 5,500, estimate circuit time 39. Unicom traffic. Of course, we could also look up our set course. It's telling us off because we haven't actually updated our course information. So we're going to go, actually we'll leave it, might as well leave it out until we're on the approach. Start our descent here. We're going to tell it that we want to come down to 25. Open the cowl flaps, start bringing air off West Wyalong. It is over there. So West Wyalong's 859 feet above sea level. So we actually want to bring this down to 18. And we want to descend a little bit faster here. May not be West Wyalong. So seriously looks like it to me. Yeah, we're correcting over. Okay, so full rich. And our autopilot was, something wasn't set. We blew straight through what we set. And we would have gone ploughing into the ground. I think I actually forgot to the vertical speed. but that is why you should always keep an eye on your autopilot. There is the chance that it will try and kill you. It's not foolproof. And West Wylong is not matching up. Okay, there it is. At least I thought it was there. There, it can be, and trust me, it can be that hard finding it, even in real life. West Whiteline traffic, Romeo Papa Golf, 5 nautical mile, final runway 09. My one problem with the default camera position is I actually find it a little high. Typically don't find myself sitting up here, I'm more down here in a real plane. We have the typical flight sim-ism issue. Trees on the approach path. Trust me, this doesn't happen in real life either. They chop them down. flaps up so we don't have to worry about taking off again. Trim the nose down a chunk. Bring the mixture back. Westwall on traffic. Romeo Papa Golf is clear of the active. Taxing for fueling. Westwall on traffic. Actually, we do not want the refueling because we don't want it to refuel there. Not only that, we kind of don't need fuel yet. And I keep track of how much fuel we actually burn in the lake. So we will park. We will put the park brake on. Bring it back to there and let it idle just for a moment. Trying to remember how to clear the alert. It's been a little while. Oh well, it'll clear when we kill it anyway. So kill the avionics. Really wish that would go in. I can right click it, left click it, it doesn't want to go in. The cabin is warm. Yes, we know this. Trust me. It's warm in real life. Control lock in place. Turn the battery off. Stick the pivot cover on and we are done. We will quickly just have a look and see how it looks in the maintenance shed. So as we can see, we are in great shape at the moment. You'll notice, anybody who looked at it before, we should have slightly different compression values to what we had to begin with. So we're going to finish doing this. We'll put the tie downs on and our chocks in place. And that is where we are going to call the Journeys 2 video. I hope you enjoyed the flight and the brief explanation of certain things. My name's Rob. Looking forward to you for the next flight. Thanks for watching.